I thought I would do something a little different. Instead of using Facebook and typing it all out, I wanted to kind of do a video on it and kind of reflect on. Last weekend, I had some discussions about with some patients about the coronavirus, and I had to kind of really reflect on some of the comments that I heard, then discuss a little bit. And one of the comments, I really had to reflect on it, but they thought it was sort of punishment. They thought it was that God was really punishing us for what was going on. And for me, to be honest with you, I don't think that's what, but I think it's far bigger than that. And what I'm talking about is that what I find interesting is the timing of it. Just the timing of it. And this whole world and this country especially was going into such darkness. And we're so capable of so much more. And I think what this is all about is goodness. And I'm going to use a Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. In there is an excerpt that goodness and kindness follow me in all the days of my life. And I think that's what really this is all about. And what this is really about is that this cloud, the lack of truth, the lack of respect for others, and I think what this is about, even though it's as tragic as this is, as horrific as this is becoming, and I get patients ask me, when they're about to pass or whatever, why me? What have I done to merit this? And I'm going to answer it in a way that to get off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's just something that I happen to believe in, and I kind of discussed it with my wife on it. That before you're born, you know the circumstances you're about to be born into. You know whether you're going to be male or female. You know some of the circumstances that you're going to be getting into. But I will tell you, the vision I had maybe lasted 10 seconds. It's just a small, kind of popped in my head. I don't know how to explain it to you, but it popped in my head. And I did talk to my wife about it, but it's kind of like a pool or a body of water. And what it represents is the womb that you're about to go into this life. But as soon as your head goes under, as soon as you're solidly put into this womb, everything you've ever known, and to say in heaven, everything you've ever known is totally forgotten. All the people that you've known, all the experiences you've known, all the insight you've had is totally gone. And why? Because then you're born into real life. You're a newborn. That, and the definition of a newborn, that's what you really are as a newborn, without any kind of experiences whatsoever. So, why do we suffer? The suffering is what makes our life real. Out of all the suffering, we learn. We're on a kind of a learning curve. We're being taught, and it's about our soul basically. And it's about our expanding soul. It's about the knowledge of our soul and what we go through. So by the end of your life, you've had a true experience, a real one. With all the suffering and all the stuff that goes on, you've had a real experience. All of us have. And so, why do we suffer? Why do we go through this? Because in the next life, the moment that you pass, the moment you go in, the moment that everything just stops and you go into heaven or you go into the next life, you have an objective viewpoint, you have a perspective on the big picture, just how grand this really is. And you get an idea of what this has really been all about. And it's about your soul. It's about the incredible insight that your soul has now because of this life. That kind of explains a little bit, or I try to explain why we go through what we go through. But out of adversity, out of the suffering we go through, we learn a lot from it. And we also find out about our relationship with God. We find our relationship, whether we accept Him or not, that all is going to be defined in the next life. And so, but this whole thing about what we're going through right now, and I just have said, I've really given some thought, and I think sometimes God has a way of we were just going down such a path. All of us were. And He put a stop to it. Or gave us a break. or a time to reevaluate. As horrific as this thing is, it gave us a time to reevaluate. What are we doing? What are we doing to others? How do we, are we relating to others? Are we giving to others as we always have done in the past? Some more than some less. And some, there are people that, if you want to call it, they chose a different path. The worst path, to be honest with you. But I think it's just, it's an overall, it's given us a time to now to really reflect on all this. And what's been interesting is how people have been handling it. Besides all the death, and that I won't get into, death in a sense, and not to, make light, because, when you lose somebody, it's really bad. But death, you're going back home. That all of us, one way or another, when our time is up, we go back home, where it all started. And so, if you look at it more objectively, but the thing that's really important is about all of us who are, it's a time for reflection. It's a time to look at what's really going on here. And I'm going to refer back to, only goodness and kindness follow us on our life, our whole life. And I think, we have a path to choose. All of us do. What we were before, do we go back to, the goodness and kindness that we've always done in our lives? Or do we go down the path of darkness? And that's what our choice is now. That's what we're dealing with now, is that choice. So I wanted to have a chance to talk about it, and I'm going to do some more videos, but this is my opinion. And so, as I said, every one of us have our own opinions, and we have our own insights on what we think this really is. But that's the good news, because we all have our opinions. It's making us look and to re-examine humanity in the ways that we can't. This is just worldwide, and the choice that we make. Do we want to go the path of goodness, or do we want to go the path of hate and not caring for others at all? It's just like we've just got so separate from each other. And to be honest, as I was saying, that the bottom line is we're all in this together now, and that's interesting when you think about it. We're all in this together. This virus doesn't choose, whether we're good and evil. It doesn't choose. It just, whenever it has the opportunity, it'll take it. It has no political. It has nothing. Whatever the opportunity arises, it will take it. And so again, it's just to reflect that this is about reflection. What is the path that we're going to take? So, as I said, everybody has their opinion, and that's the good news. Everybody has their opinion. Everybody has what they think this is all about. But the most important thing, it's about humanity. For the first time in a very long time, it is really confronting us about humanity. Anyway, I'm going to end it here, and just my thought. And I'm going to post it on YouTube, but that's just my thought. And I'm sure you can do YouTube and you have your own thought, and we can kind of interchange whatever. But it'd be interesting for all of us to put our thoughts out there. Anyway, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it.